It's the Guardian series.
Alright, we have to do that time thing. We have to follow where this guy goes. He jumped?
Please fall off the ledge.
Oh my god.
Oh, he did.
That was suicide.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Infinity Well. I am Larry Stahl, and this is going to be our start of Avengers Week. This should be posted on a Sunday, and we are going to go day by day talking about certain Avengers leading up to Avengers Endgame. And today we are going to be talking about the one and only Star-Spangled Man with a Plan, Captain America. Captain America, pretty much he was created back in the 1940s. I believe it was 1942, I believe, is when he came out, and essentially his character has kind of been like a pop culture icon. He was a symbol of hope for America in the 1940s and so on. His character, he of course gained his powers through the super soldier serum. Essentially he was a weak, scrawny little guy, and then he wanted to be something better so that he could contribute and help fight for America back in World War II. Now, that all went as planned. He had a sidekick named Bucky Barnes, and everything went pretty well. But then everything kind of went to crap when he was trying to save Bucky's life atop of a rocket. He thought Bucky died, and when the rocket blew up, he had fell down into the waters of the ocean, and essentially had been frozen there until he was found by Namor, who brought him to the Avengers. Now, that kind of leads us into where Captain America is now, especially in terms of movies and comic books and so on. He's been a mainstay member of the Avengers since he was not on the first team of Avengers in the comic books, but he was one of the first iconic Avengers, and he has pretty much been a mainstay ever since that happened. There's only ever been like a couple of iterations of the team in which he wasn't around by choice. Now, when Brian Michael Bendis was writing the Avengers back around the time of Civil War, Captain America had essentially died. He had been assassinated through some means, and Bucky Barnes had taken his place. But when it comes to the role of Steve Rogers, Captain America himself, he has always been a team leader, a strategist, and a symbol of hope. Rarely ever does Captain America falter in terms of what he's able to do and what he can't do. Captain America has always kind of been somebody that everybody looks up to. Like I said, he's old friends with Wolverine, because Wolverine used to be on the team on his Invaders team way back in the 1940s, because Wolverine's been around for hundreds of years. But he's a good friend to a lot of people, a symbol of hope, and he always has a straight head to get everybody through the conflict that they're facing. So when it comes to his involvement in the MCU, I can remember back in 2011 when his movie came out, and I can honestly say I was not sure. You know, like, I was a big Marvel fan. You know, I was going out and I was watching all the movies. I was reading as many books as I could. But, you know, I just always kind of wondered, like, what's going to happen if people look at this and they think it's too hokey. You know, they think that some literal walking man of stars and stripes is going to help save America in World War II. I didn't know if that would fly. But the actor of Chris Evans has actually found a way to make his character have much more pathos than that, especially after his first movie and when he was put into the modern day. He truly is a man out of time and feels like the true life that he was supposed to live was left behind a long time ago, so now the only thing he can do is lead this team of Avengers. I absolutely love the character of Captain America, and Chris Evans really does bring a dimensionality to it. And so watching his story progress through the MCU, you know, us trying to figure out what's the next step that's going to be taken with him, because a lot of people, I remember back when Civil War came out, everybody thought that Captain America was going to die because, of course, as I had said, originally the character of Captain America had been assassinated after the events of Civil War when he turned himself in. Because he realized he wasn't fighting for the people anymore, he was just fighting, and he lost himself in the conflict. Because it's the first time that he had ever truly, really been involved in a war ever since before he was thrown into the ice. Everybody thought that Captain America was going to die back in the Civil War movie, but that did not happen. In fact, what happened is almost worse. Captain America became a man without a country. He became nomad, essentially, which was an identity that he had taken in the late 70s and early 80s in the comic books. Once he realized he didn't want to stand for any one particular country, he wanted to stand for the world. And so next time we saw his character was Spider-Man Homecoming because of those funny in-class videos that they had to show in that movie. But the next time we truly saw him and what he was up to ever since the events of Captain America Civil War, he was pretty much like on the run with his secret team of Avengers. He had ripped all the stars off of his costume, he had rolled his sleeves up, he let his hair grow out and his beard grow out. He was just trying to help people at that point. He didn't even care about public image and what he stood for. He stood for himself and what he knew was right. And so I absolutely love that idea. I love the idea of taking Captain America and making him a symbol for everybody. And of course, as we all know, after seeing the trailers for Avengers Endgame, Captain America is going to be back in costume doing all of those things. But I feel like there's going to be a mutual understanding between everyone now that he doesn't work for America, he doesn't work for a government, he doesn't work for a secret spy agency. He is working for himself and his agenda because he just wants to help people and do the right thing and be a hero. That is what I love about Captain America, his strict determination on it's sort of like that line that they say in Captain America Civil War, even if everybody is telling you wrong and that you must move, you need to look them straight in the eye and say, no, you move. That's such an amazing line and such an amazing moment. All of these things are questioned, though, in the context of Civil War. They are questioned in the context of whenever Captain America gets involved and nobody else agrees with him. And so that has happened in Captain America Civil War, where he wants to help his friend. He wants to help the only attachment that he ever had from the 1940s left. He wants to really be able to keep a hold of what makes him the person he is, but on top of that he also wants to be able to maintain his idealistic nature so that people can see him as the symbol of hope that he is trying to be. I absolutely love the character for doing that, and I really love it when you see stories where it's like everybody against him, or especially stories where he is taken out of his element. So that being said, we have Captain America throughout all these MCU movies. He's dealt with alien invasion, the Nazis and Hydra back in World War II. He has dealt with spies and espionage. He has dealt with his own friends getting in the way of his mission. Because a lot of people give Captain America flack and they keep saying well, he's wrong, because he's just fighting for his friend. He's going against an entire government of people where the people made a choice and said they want their superheroes regulated. He's going against what the people want, not even necessarily a government, to help save his friend. And there's other things involved in the story of that movie where it's you have Baron Zemo supposedly resurrecting all of these old super soldiers that the Russians had their hands on. But not only that, but Captain America, we get lines from Bruce Banner, the Hulk, in all the Avengers movies where he says he never gets what he wants. But Captain America truly never gets what he wants, because he has nothing else except for his friend and Peggy dies in Civil War too. It's almost like Steve is desperately clenching for anything that he can hold on to because nobody else understands him and his worldview like the people who were there. Especially in Avengers Age of Ultron, in which they're all having their big after party of busting Hydra at the beginning of the movie, and all of Cap's friends are World War II vets. And I especially think it's funny that Stan Lee was there as a military war vet. But things like that, I absolutely love about the character of Captain America in the MCU, and it truly is like the definitive adaptation of Captain America. You know, his character is very true to how he is in the comics. Because in the comics, he's almost I don't want to say he's unstoppable, but he is almost a character that you can't tear him down, and he always will have a point, and he always will have reason. Like that is one of the most amazing things about the character of Captain America. So when it comes to his fate in Avengers Endgame, as we're doing these videos to build up to that movie, how do I put it? Will Captain America go? Will he die? Because at this point, we've had all this build-up where Captain America realizes that he has no life anymore, and his life is protecting the world with the Avengers. And then when Bucky kind of shows back up and he tries to bring things back together with him, you know, it's like he finally has a little piece of that and he doesn't want to let it go. There's deeper reasons inside of why the entire Civil War movie happened, but a lot of it did have to do with Captain America trying to prove that his friend was innocent, because it's the only thing he has left and he wants to protect it. And now going into Avengers Endgame, where he's on the run, you know, the last time he saw Bucky, he was on ice being held in Wakanda. Cap's been running around with these other Avengers, and he's just been trying to do the best that he can. But now, when he finally sees what Tony means by space being the end game, you know, and Thanos doing the snap and killing the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, Cap has nothing left. The only thing he can give to save the world now that he has left in him is his life. This is the reason the Avengers were put together. It was almost destiny for the Avengers to come together, because they had to be the ones to undo this. You know, so I personally do think I'm more leaning towards Cap might die, because it will be his ultimate sacrifice, and maybe he'll get to be with Peggy again. You know, because Peggy, even in Cap's solo movies, is what drives him. That's what drives him to be brave, bold, and heroic. And him potentially dying and getting a chance to see Peggy again, I think is going to show him that this is the fight of his life. Like they keep saying in the trailers, this is going to be the thing that saves the world and finally lets him rest happy. But if he doesn't die, if through some crazy means he doesn't die and he ends up sticking around, or he just retires, you know, it almost feels like that wouldn't complete the character arc that they have been telling ever since Captain America first appeared in the MCU. Captain America, he's just a great character. I can never speak of it enough. It's something that's very special to me, because he is like the purest form of hero, and is honestly probably my favorite Avenger. When it comes to terms of like if any of them had to like lay down their lives to save yours, Cap would be the man to do it. So if I were to recommend a book that would truly show you all the things that exemplify Captain America but give you something new that you haven't quite seen in the movies before, it would have to be the book Castaway in Dimension Z, written by Rick Remender and art by John Romita Jr. It tells the tale of Captain America being stuck in almost a post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland that is ruled by Arnim Zola, the Hydra cyborg from the books, who had shown up in Winter Soldier before he was a computer. And imagine that, but like instead of all of the data banks and stuff from Winter Soldier that you see with the camera, like his head is the camera and he's like a cyborg body, and like the screen where you see his face in the movie is in his stomach. Essentially, it's Cap living there and realizes that Arnim Zola has a child with him. And to save that child's life, because it's the only thing that he can do while he's stuck there, the only life that he can save and the only thing productive that he can do, he takes this boy away from Arnim Zola to raise him on his own. So that way, Captain America can give this kid a chance, and he can still at least have somewhat of a life while he's stuck in there. And meanwhile, it's pretty much just Cap over the course of years raising this kid to try to take down Arnim Zola and get out of this dimension while fighting all of these mutated monsters and creatures. It is such a phenomenal book, and I highly recommend it. I'm sure you can find it on the Marvel Digital Comics app. I'm sure that you can find it on Amazon. Remember, it is Captain America, Castaway in Dimension Z. I believe you can get all 11 issues of it collected together, or you can get volumes 1 and 2 in hardcover. I'm mostly aware of that one because the 2 hardcovers that make up the whole story is what I already own. Or even if you want to only just get the first volume and check it out, that would be a great book to read going into Endgame, because it truly exemplifies what Captain America is all about. Even when you take away the whole thing of like being an American symbol, when you take away the idea of war, he is still a brave, heroic man that is driven by his past actions and the people in his past that made him the man he is today. And even if there's only one life that he can save, he's still going to try. You know, if people die along the way of the journey of trying to save everybody, the best thing that you can do is to save the rest that are alive. And it's such a wonderful story. The art by John Romita Jr. is fantastic. He's personally one of my favorite Marvel artists. I highly recommend that book. So that being said, that's going to close off today's episode of Avengers Week here on the Infinity Well. Again, my name is Larry Stahl, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please like it. You can comment whatever you want. I always respond to comments, and subscribe for more content. And so that way you are ready for Avengers Endgame, because we're going to be putting out these episodes up until Friday when we go and see that movie, and we will probably do a review and spoiler cast on that as well. So thank you again. I'm Larry Stahl, and face front, true believer.